Do I have your attention? Amazing, because we are going to use it to explore the concept of protecting it, protecting our attention spans. Our attention span, defined as the length of time for which a person is able to concentrate mentally on a particular activity. This precious time frame that is available to us, being used, tested, stretched every moment of every day, is seriously valuable real estate. Commercial marketing, for example, clamors after it, aiming to do anything that they can do to capture it. But more critically, how are we choosing to use it to its fullest potential? Not for someone else's ad campaign, but for ourselves as artists. My name is Jenny Velarde. I'm a psychotherapist, and just as importantly, I'm an artist. So with the pricelessness of our attention spans in mind, here are a few questions for you to consider. What are we doing to protect it? More so, do we even think about it? And if not, how is that impacting our creativity? In 2015, Microsoft Canada published a paper within it making claims that the average human attention span had dropped from 12 seconds in the year 2000 to 8 seconds just a few short years later. Now, to add insult to injury, they made the comparison to that of a goldfish, which apparently has the attention span of 9 seconds. A key 1 second discrepancy there. Now, whether or not we actually know the true attention span of goldfish, there is something intuitively alarming about that thought when it comes to the length of our attention spans. They do seem to be diminishing, and quickly. And this is now being supported by empirical evidence. A 2019 study makes the case that our collective attention span is indeed narrowing significantly. Through an extensive study of different data points from a variety of sources where content is consumed, including Twitter, Google Trends, Reddit, movie ticket sales, book purchases, scientific publications, this study observed a universal trend, discovering shorter and shorter bursts of collective attention being given to cultural topics. So for example, on Twitter alone, they found that when tracking the global daily top hashtags of trending topics, in 2013, a hashtag stayed in the top 50 for an average of 17.5 hours. By 2016, it had decreased to only 11.9 hours. In just 3 short years, a drop of almost 6 hours of our collective attention span being focused on a particular topic at a time. Not to mention, we're focusing on these topics for less than half a day. That's pretty drastic. The study concluded that at the accelerated rate in which content is being produced and pushed out appears to be both exhausting our collective attention span while also training us to constantly be seeking out novelty, to be craving the next thing more and more rapidly than ever before. Now, this in turn results in more content being needed to be produced to keep up with demand, and individual topics, including massive news stories, receiving shorter and shorter intervals of our collective attention. A pretty intense cycle. So, if our collective attention spans are being pulled more directions than ever before, what can we assume about our individual attention span without us consciously noting it, becoming aware of it, and choosing purposefully as much as possible where we want to direct our attention span. How might it be impacting our ability to create, to imagine, to be curious, to sit with our thoughts, to really let ourselves meditate and mull over our creative contributions? Now, think about it this way. If indeed our focus is being collectively pulled in more directions than ever, here, there, and everywhere, where in the world does that leave our personal content, our projects, ideas, seedlings that can turn into important artistic works, important developments? Songs need time to develop. Scripts, novels, documentaries, paintings, designs, choreographed works. These are all things that require from us extended periods of focused time, let alone 12 seconds or 9 seconds, or dare I say 8. So here's a challenge to consider. In what ways can we not only start to prioritize our attention spans, but to wholeheartedly protect them so that they are in the fittest shape for our creative work? Now, I would love to see in the comments your ideas and perhaps what has worked really well for you. Recently, we explored the effects of scrolling, screen time, the brain, and how it affects our creativity. If you haven't seen that episode, it's linked below, and it's a crucial counterpart to today's episode for practical ideas. Also, the procrastination system has an entire chapter devoted to ways you can shape your relationship with technology to best support your creative output. The link is below. Here are a couple more ideas on how to strengthen your attention span, which indirectly strengthens your ability to focus on creative work. First, don't carry your phone around with you. I know this is a tough one, but consider viewing it almost like a landline. Do you remember those? So when I'm out and about, for the most part, I throw my phone in my bag. But when I am at home or in the office, I do not keep it in my pocket. I usually set it on a shelf and check it several times throughout the day rather than every time it makes a noise. If that were the case, I, like many of us, would be checking it every couple of minutes. So just like a landline, consider getting used to the idea of letting it sit autonomously, not connected to you. Now, side note, let's say you are a parent and you need to know if your kids are having an emergency. Set up a system where they call twice in a row. If you get 2 phone calls in a row, then you know it's time to look at the phone ASAP. And remember, when we were kids, depending on how old you are, our parents did not have cell phones where we could text. So this system can indeed work. Another suggestion, read books. Sit down and read, ideally away from screens. Set aside an hour to start so that you don't feel rushed and you just sit with a book. Nothing rocket science here, but an act that many of us are getting further away from, particularly without checking the phone pinging and ringing next to us every 3 minutes. And as a final suggestion, the next time you have dinner with someone, do it tech-free, or perhaps sitting down to coffee, no phones allowed on that table, or speaking to your spouse or your roommate at the end of the day, not pulling out that phone every couple of minutes in the middle of the conversation. Again, this is common sense, but let's be honest, how many of us are practicing it? Aim to make all your real human connections face to face and as connected as possible. I've challenged many of my clients over the years to do this, and it has actually been remarkable what's come out of it. Not only in the ways of them strengthening their relationships, but also increasing their abilities to be focused and present and engaged for longer and longer periods of time in general. And this, of course, does wonders for their ability to hone in on their creative work. There are so many ways to strength train our attention spans and to protect them. Again, I would love for you to put your ideas down below, and please share this episode with someone who may benefit from it. Yet the most potent way to protect your attention span is to remember the power of it. Just remembering our attention span even exists and that it's constantly being tested and fought over, and we ultimately have the power to choose how we want to use it. Just that message alone is enough to help protect it. It's no wonder that so many corporations are fighting for it. It's such a valuable commodity. Now let's honor it. Let's choose to use it for what we want to use it for, particularly within our relationships and our creative work, rather than just giving it away for free. Now go and create. You were created to. Now here's the thing about procrastination. With the right tools, it can be our greatest helper. Without the right tools, it will take us down, shamelessly stealing days, months, years, and even decades from us. And it doesn't stop on its own. The procrastination system, 6 hours, 5 segments, 20 chapters, custom-built tools and concepts reinforced by up-to-date neuroscience. Turn your inaction into traction. The link's below. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you. If this episode was useful, I would love for you to hit the like button and perhaps share it with somebody. For more tool-based, actionable, creative content, please make sure to subscribe. Also, if you have a question about creativity or the artist role that you would like to have answered, please leave it in the comments below and it may be featured in an upcoming episode.